Today we have an important and critical upgrade for our RalliFart. We picked up a Dodson Heated Sump Kit from Kozmic Transmissions, and this is going to help our track-focused cars stay, a lot cooler when running the car on the track. So this kit basically comes with the Dodson cooler itself, and also these lines provided by Kozmic, and so these will basically make our job easier in getting this installed. And of course, we had to pick up some of this liquid gold. If you know, you know, but kind of needed to be able to get this job done and make sure, our transmission stays nice and smooth. So the way that we are tackling this is we are first going to be removing everything from the rally yard that we need to be able to have easy access to get this installed. And that'll involve taking off the strut bar, the cold air intake system, the battery, the front bumper, and some of the lower intercooler piping. But, we'll see if we need to take any more things out. After we take all of that off, we're going to be draining our radiator fluid and as well as our SST transmission fluid. So let's get started. As you can see, we removed our strut bar and our cold air intake, as well as we kind of just basically moved this hose that goes on the bottom of our, I guess, bypass valve now to the side just a little bit because it's still connected to the hoses. I'm just gonna leave it like that. They're kind of on there pretty tight. But getting to this point, our actual transmission cover is right here. But we also need to move basically this bracket that holds the battery. We need to get this out the way. You just take out these two bolts that are here, and then there's one that's like back here under. It's a little, I don't think I can focus on it, but it's, you can kind of see through the hole there. Yep, that's the one you want to get out. But all you really need is a short 12mm socket, and you could actually just basically just go under and kind of leave it hanging and then just push it off that way. Well, there's actually two bolts under this, so I lied, but yeah, just got to do that twice. And so now that we got that bracket off, you can see that electrical plug that goes into our SST that passes all that communication, all that data to our ECU. We can now unplug this and then just get to removing this lower intercooler pipe. And we got our front bumper removed, as well as some of this lower intercooler piping. So I think we're basically ready to start draining all the fluids. But I do want to kind of clean up this area before I continue with this and getting this cover removed and installing the sump, just to make sure we have a pretty decently clean environment in this little area. All right, so we opened up our radiator cap and we are currently draining it down here. Let a little bit of air go in to get this fluid out. Doesn't look like there's much left, so we'll just wait and wait. We got the coolant cleaned up, and now we just need to drain the SST transmission and the lines that go to the cooler, and we should be able to take off the cover over here for the transmission and get our sump installed. As we drain our fluid, we're gonna wait till a lot of this gets out and is more of a drip, and then we still need to take out and replace our filter and then empty out these lines that go to the cooler for the transmission, and then we can finally put that shiny Dodson cooler on our transmission. Bridgestone. All right, so before removing every single bolt, I just kind of loosened them all up so I could loosen them up by hand. And what I'm gonna do is loosen them up from the bottom first and see if I can get any leftover diaqueen fluid to just fall first into the oil pan, and yeah, try to make not as much of a mess as possible. All right, so it doesn't look like we got any residual fluid. Like, I think we got it all out pretty much. So we're gonna go ahead and take this out and get our Dodson heated sump in. All right, so installation time. We're gonna get our new gasket here installed into our new cooler, And yeah, we're gonna get it all put together so we can put it inside of the RalliFart. I will say some of these notches don't really make a lot of sense. So like right here, you can see it's like the texture, like the figure of the gasket is way bigger than this notch right here. And I already kind of double checked the gasket. The gasket is already to form, and it's the same either or side. So I'm not sure if it's just faulty or what the deal is, because some of these fit just fine, as you can see. But then you have little ones like right here and like this one that don't make any sense to me. So hopefully I'm not installing it wrong, but I'm just gonna hope for the best and try to fit this as best as I can and get this onto the transmission. Ooh, that was a that was a tight squeeze in there, but yeah, once you get it through the connection for the transmission, then I mean it basically holds on by itself. So I mean, yeah, we just need to torque this to spec, and I think we should be good. All right, so we got those bolts torqued down for the pan to the transmission. Kozmic Transmissions basically provides, you know, how much to torque it down to and, you know, what pattern it's supposed to be. So here it's 89 inch pounds. And of course you got a certain pattern you got to do. Very star-like, but, you know, just if you're doing this, just basically follow Kozmic's instructions. And of course for those bolts, you need a Torx T30 bit. So just be aware that you will have to buy one or a set if you don't already have one. All right, cool. So basically our transmission stuff is basically taken care of. We got the Dodson heat sump installed onto the transmission, and we got our lines emptied and put back together. We put a new filter back on there, and we close up the drain bolts. So now let's continue on to the hoses that are gonna be going from the return line for the engine coolant down here to the sump. Yep, definitely recommend installing these lines before you install the sump onto the transmission, because you have to thread that one in, the top one, and then this one, the bottom one, in that order, because if you know do it vice versa, then you really won't be able to tighten or put in the other one. I feel like not even from the top. And yeah, it's kind of scary to thread these in from a weird angle too, because the thread can get stuck, and you don't want that. You don't want to strip this. But with enough maneuvering, I think I got it. They got it on there pretty good. So what we got to do now is cut the return hose for the coolant. We're gonna take it off the clamp. Basically, we're gonna cut this into the L shape. We're gonna estimate how much we need to cut for our barred fitting. Kozmic basically tells you to cut it from like here to somewhere around here. That's marked yellow on their instructions, but since we don't have that mark, we're just gonna have to basically, yeah, just kind of do our best to make those measurements and get everything installed properly. And then this 45-degree angle is gonna be going, connecting to the hose coming from the back. So the coolant's basically gonna run through the system, and yeah, and it's gonna be activated once you know the SST gets to a certain temperature, and that'll help with our cooling. And finally, we are basically done installing our heat sump system. As you can see, I cut the cooler return hose right here. Just used some hose cutters and connected the straight barred fitting. All I did was just turn this around and plugged it right up. And then for the 45-degree angle one, I just you know, did the same thing, pushed it in, and now it's being held in by this metal holder. But we still need to just make sure that we zip tie these hoses and make sure they don't, you know, interfere with a lot of the transmission things. So we just need to do a few zip ties, and we're basically done with our Dodson heated sump install. It's kind of late right now, so I'm just gonna, you know, get some rest, and we'll continue this tomorrow. All right, it's the next day, and we're finally managing to get our intercooler piping back installed. And this is the thing I feared the most, because of the cooler being bigger, obviously, at the bottom, where the cooler is going to be routing to, and the bigger fins. We did run into some trouble with fitment of our intercooler piping. So it's right now it's kind of just like barely fitting in there, so it's kind of twisted. As you can see, get a close up of the bottom. It's kind of bulging to the side. We're going to see how that ends up working out with the car on and everything, once we get everything put back together and get all the fluid in. If it doesn't work out, then we're most likely just going to have to get a little bit of a custom piping done here. Oh man, yeah, getting those bolts on the inside of this battery tray bracket, this is pain. It's a freaking pain. If you put in all your intercooler piping first, you're gonna have a hard time trying to reach that and yeah, get it bolted on. So probably don't install this before you install this. The only reason I don't want to remove all this is because of the Dodson cooler now in, and this intercooler piping is just really tight on here, and it's kind of fit in a strangled way, kind of like I showed. So I didn't want to take all of this off again. It would have just, I would rather not, and it would have just been a pain in the butt. So what I did is just got a swivel socket and a 12mm extension, and then from a 1/4 inch to a 3/8. You could do it with just 3/8, but I wanted some more space over here between all this tubing and stuff. So that's what I did to get it basically under that tray or under this bracket and get it tightened up. When putting back the AEM cold air intake, I did realize that, you know, because the box is so bulky, that the hoses down here would basically need to be moved. See that column right there in the middle of the screen? That's where the box for the AEM intake basically bolts onto the transmission, and then you see those lines right out to the side. Not too worried about it coming over to this side, so I think we're looking good there. And we finally got everything put back together in terms of functional items to get the car started. We're gonna basically just turn the car on and just make sure we don't have any kind of leaks or anything. We also need to make sure that our coolant is properly bled from all the air, just to make sure that it runs properly and everything's flowing like it should. Get the car on, get everything at operating temperature, and just make sure everything's good. All right, the car's been on for a few minutes, and it doesn't look like we're getting any kind of leaks anywhere. We're looking pretty good. Feel very confident about it. So now we're in the car, just checking the temps here on EvoScan, and after the car has sat for maybe about, like, I don't know, 5 to 8 minutes, the coolant temp is around 88 degrees Celsius, and our transmission temp is sitting around 42. So everything here looks pretty good temperature wise, and we are getting hot air. So looks like our coolant bleed and removal of air is I guess pretty much done, and I'm gonna call this good. Didn't see any kind of leaks or see any issues or overheating or anything like that. So yeah, I think we're good to go. Now this car is gonna be a little bit better for track. With the Dodson heat sump, it's gonna help out with us abusing the transmission out there on the track. But we're also gonna take it on the street to see how much we can abuse it out there, just to get a good sense of how our transmission is doing. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching this video, and on to the next one.